Whether you're a high school athlete, college, pro, recreational, it does not matter. I'm sure that you find peace in whatever athletic endeavor it is that you do. But what happens when your chronic pain, your chronic injury get to a place where you can't continue to perform, you can't continue to accelerate your results in the way that you once used to? This is exactly what happened to Sam Waddell, a client of mine who was stuck in a vicious injury cycle. He kept getting injured, had surgery, did the PT just to get re-injured again. And in this video, we'll talk about what we did to remediate his pain and get him back to playing sports pain-free.
Pain, kind of just general muscle pain there, and like specifically lower back pain was an issue for me coming into this. And then from that kind of like general body pain, I think I also like wanted to get back into sports a little bit more, and like with reduced anxiety around like my knee injuries mostly.
Okay, yeah, that totally makes sense. So where do you feel like you're at with all that stuff?
Like I feel like I know, not necessarily like magic like exercises to get rid of it or anything, but just like how I'm applying myself throughout the workouts and how that kind of like ends up translating to how my body feels afterwards.
Right.
And rather than it kind of like compounding in my lower back because I'm like either like breaking form or like stressing too hard and straining with different muscles, it's kind of like more in the muscles that I feel like I worked a bit more. One time about in one of the Tuesday conversations about like maximizing lift potential and things like that,
Right.
and like how to get the most out of those lifts. And it a lot of those thoughts kind of like very much resonated with me, where it's less about like, all right, I'm trying to like fire this specific muscle and like really like strain. And like I think the example you kept giving was like squeeze your butt at like the top of a deadlift, and like those are lots of things that I had heard previously and was implementing in my regiments. But I think as I did more breath work and was being more aware of my body as a whole with different movements rather than trying to like be very specific on different muscles, I was getting more benefit out of the individual lifts and just like as the like working out as a whole kind of thing. And it very much like, I don't know, it just felt better kind of thing.
Like you can control your body better because you have this heightened focus of body awareness.
Yeah, absolutely. And to like stepping stone on that a little bit, I think that heightened awareness allows me to like, it's allowed me to kind of like get back into playing basketball and just like sports in general a little bit, like understanding that like I control like where I put my body in certain situations.
Got you, got you. And so what do you think that secret formula is, like from your point of view, as you concluded from the program, that formula in terms of not necessarily having a specific exercise, but more so the intentionality behind the movement?
Being like more like conscious of the breath and like just having it be more like less breath kind of thing, like more through the nose, and like being more controlled with it rather than kind of just like exhaling super hard on certain motions and things like that, more like calm and like steady with the breath throughout the entire workout rather than kind of like working myself up. I think that's the main thing. And like as far as this isn't like a specific like exercise, but I think like starting my workouts with breath work to kind of like bring myself into that space has been very helpful as well.
Right, right. This is gold right here. Like I think this would be really good for people to hear, who aren't so sure about a mindfulness or a meditation practice, but are avid sports goers. I think a lot of
Yeah.
times people kind of get sped up. They get caught up in the fact that like, oh, I have this sport to do. So I'm going to focus on getting better at this sport by playing this sport and the very specific actions that come with that sport. And they never take
Mm.
a step back to go all the way to what is the fundamental aspect of being good at sports, to being good at athletics in general, is an awareness and control over your body.
Like nice to have that understanding of all the biomechanics and things, but understanding how that like works within your body was much more beneficial for me. Like I really appreciate like what you're doing here, and like I think you like really care about all these different things. Like between like seeing you, like it was funny. Like you just kind of like reached out to me because I had like interacted with your Instagram like posts and things like
Yeah.
that. I think like you kind of followed an intuition that like we would work well together and that like I would get a lot out of your program. And I just like really appreciate you kind of like taking that initiative to an extent. I think I would have just like sat there being a follower for a very long time, like not really always gotten all of the like benefits out of this, like this relationship that we could have if you hadn't like taken that initial step. So I appreciate that.